Hey everyone, welcome back. So I got some pretty good comments on a couple other videos I've posted. I've not posted many, but I figured before I got too ambitious and started creating a bunch of videos, I'd take the opportunity to just take a step back and really kick off where everything started. And that's with this thing right here. So I remember as a kid, I don't know, I was like 6 or 7, seeing a magazine, a Spanish magazine that one of my brothers had called Armas, weapons or arms or firearms. And on the cover of the magazine, they were highlighting this pistol, which was the, I don't even remember if it was the new standard of the Spanish army or just, some highlight. But point is that on the cover, it had this pistol, and I remember it was at this angle. And though it had wood grips, it just always stood out to me. It was, as an impressionable kid, it definitely left its mark. Fast forward a few years, and I can tell you without a doubt that this pistol is my holy grail. Now, most people may not know what it is, and that's cool because it's relatively unknown, despite it looking familiar. But fact of the matter is that there are not many in the U.S. If they were imported commercially, it was in very, very low numbers. I don't know how many. I could speculate, less than 500, if that. And in any sort of surplus sense, that's just not the case because this still remains in active service in Spain. It's being phased out by the USP, the HK USP, and it's been doing so for a number of years now. But again, it's still being used. So I happened to finally land myself one of these after many, many years of looking, and really more than looking, just keeping my eyes open if it did come across me. And my eyes were open, it came across, and here we are. So this is the Spanish Llama M-82, pronounced Llama M-82. And like I said, it's been the Spanish military firearm since 1982, hence its designation. So before I get too ahead in this video, you'll notice that I kicked it off with this thing right here, which I already have reviewed in a prior posting. And the main reason I got this thing, which is the Gersan Bora, is that it was the most similar to this that I had seen. So when I saw it, I thought to myself, I probably won't find one of these, the M-82, so I'll just go ahead and get one of these things. And you can see the similarity, mainly the enclosed slide. Otherwise, this handgun is, for all intents and purposes, a copy of the Beretta 92 series. Now this is a 92S, and this is our M-82. But other than that, you'll see that there's a lot of commonality, mainly the transfer bar. You have your mechanism here for your slide release. You've got a slide mounted safety decocker. Same turn down slide release, but then again, your Berettas have the exposed barrel, which many believe is a weak point of the Berettas. I have seen Berettas with cracked slides all the way down that had been welded up and thrown back into service. So who knows? I'm not really a huge Beretta guy. I mean, I have this one and Gersan, but this is where it's at. So this thing right here is an actual Spanish military M-82. I have not fired it since I recently received it, and there's a number of distinguishing features. So starting with, let's remove the magazine. You'll see that the magazine is phosphated. That's typical of the military weapons. There's no drag marks or very few, so like I said, this thing has really not been used too much. If anything, I've been the one who's been dragging it in and out, so you see some streaks here, but otherwise it's essentially unused. And then getting into the pistol, you'll see up here at the top the company description, Does this pronounce Gabilondo y Compañía? CIA is abbreviation for Compañía. Vitoria or Vitoria, not sure. España. And then the serial number. So there's speculation about that these M-82s started off being manufactured by the Llama company, and then they were subcontracted out to Beretta in Italy. And what's been substantiating that rumor, and again, I'm not sure if it's fact, I mean, it could be for all I know, but it's this right here. Many of these serial numbers start with the letter PB, which, if you know your handguns, you'll know may indicate Pietro Beretta. But then again, I don't know, because I've also seen some PC serial numbers, so not sure. If anyone knows for certain, just let me know. You got your 4-digit serial number, and then right here, 91 corresponds to the year. Over on the grips, you'll see the trademark or the trade name, and that's Llama. So the company is Gabilondo y Compañía, and the trademark is Llama. So it's kind of like Toyota making Scions, something like that. So you got your trademark right there, and then your typical safety decocker on the slide. Like I say, your transfer bar, your fully enclosed barrel. Then you have standard 3-dot combat sights, your spur hammer. I really like the design of this hammer. And there's a couple nuances here that start differentiating this from a Beretta. Starting with, here you do have that model designation, M-82. So the slide release, you'll notice you have a roll pin that's pushed into the frame. And then underneath right here, you might see that there's an actual cutout in the slide. And that is to match it up with the slide release, right about there. All right. Then that comes forward, and off comes your slide. I'll do a quick comparison, just again, in the spirit of comparing. To the 92, this one does not have to be lined up with any sort of, special position. All you got to do is just lift the pin, push the pin, and forward it comes. All right, so going on to the frame, we'll see, again, very similar to your Berettas. You got your rails, so 1, 2, 3 support on each side. You got your feed ramp build out there, your ejector, your sear, your slide release. Pretty straightforward. Magazine release. Now there's something pretty cool about this, is that for some reason, and it's not a bad thing, it's a pretty cool thing, Spanish handgun manufacturers have always gotten a kick out of making separate housings for your fire control group. So this right here is a separate piece that's been milled, slid in, and then pinned. So that's separate, but otherwise very similar to Beretta. Going on to your slide, one thing I've noticed about these as well is that, yeah, they do have a captive recoil spring, which is pretty cool, but they do have a tendency to be loose in here. So when you disassemble it, this thing will just boop, it'll just pop out. So something to be mindful of. Now your barrel, you have your same, very similar, if not identical, locking lug configuration. Recesses in the slide. Your locking pin right there that lowers the locking block and releases it from the slide to then be removed. Very similar, if not identical, to a Beretta. Barrel, yes, the barrel is dirty. It's not corrosion or anything, it's just dirty. And voila. I don't know if you can make it out. There are some very slight machining marks. It looks almost like cast marks, but it could be just contrast highlighted by the phosphate. Your slide, again, very, run of the mill. You have your slide cutouts for the locking block. Everything is very deeply parkerized. And one thing that's specific to this particular handgun, which makes me very confident that it has, number one, not been fired too much, which you can see due to the lack of drag marks and overall wear. But over on this side, and I'll get a picture of that, there's actually on the breech face, thereabouts, it's green, and you can see the remnants of what I believe to be green primer sealant of Spanish Santa Barbara ammunition. So if you have ever fired Spanish 9mm surplus, particularly back in the early to mid 90s when that stuff was coming in super cheap, you'd remember that it had green sealant, and this one still does. Now, it won't be there forever because I do want to take this out and fire it, but I thought that was pretty cool. I'll throw up some pictures. So there you go. This is your pretty broken down Llama M-82. Now there's one thing that definitely makes this stand out from the Berettas. So check this out. Here's your 92 magnet. So that clearly adheres to the slide because it's steel, but on the frame it does nothing because it's aluminum. Slide, frame, nothing. Check this out. So I got to do this slide just because consistency, right? All right, cool. We got that. Now let's see if it sticks onto the frame. Boom. Check that out. So how cool is it to have a steel framed Beretta or Beretta clone? You see Beretta will charge, a couple grand for a steel framed 92. Well, these cats were making it for a long time before that. So there you go. Steel framed handgun, and even the feed ramp, everything steel. So I found this handgun, again, just by being diligent, open-eyed. I jumped on it, figured it out. Did have to pull some levers on some special connections I got. But it is mine. And I wanted to bring it to everyone to show it to you. Now, as I reassemble it, I do have the practice of just putting it together upside down so the recoil spring will not loosen up and just flop around everywhere. And if I'm not mistaken, that's right, this one can't do that because I do have to line it up with the slide, but there we go. There it is. Now, one thing that I was not aware of before getting this thing is that your recoil spring and recoil guide, the recoil guide sticks out just a little nubbin. Now this, I think, is not necessarily a good thing, and I'm a little curious as to why I left it. I have seen it in others. They could have just made it flush, just a scooch shorter. This just looks like something that could stick on, get snagged on clothing or whatnot. But there are worse things in life. So the background to this handgun, again, the Spaniards, if you know anything about the Spaniards, they've always been very proud and consider themselves to be very, let's say, independent. So even though they are cloning a well-established handgun, such as the 92 series, they want to do it their own way. And they did so with the M-82. Now, one question that I've been getting, particularly with the Gersan Bora, is whether or not other magazines fit. So let's see here. I did find this magazine off Gunbroker, which is an original, it's a Metgar for the Llama M-82. It's pretty cool because this thing showed up in a totally retro box that was yellowed out, so definitely an 80s box. But let's just start with the obvious one. See if the Llama magazine will fit. It locks in, it releases, slide retains. I'd say that works. Let's eject that. Let's see, what next? Okay, this is a Beretta M96 40 cal mag that I found lying around. So let's see if this works. Okay, locks in, sticks out a bit, but let's see if the slide retains. The slide does stick back. Cool. All right, so the Beretta M96 mag will work. All right, and then everyone's favorite. This is a Gersan, actually, sorry, a Mekgar M9 magazine. So this is made for the Beretta series. It does fit into Gersan. Let's see if it fits in this thing. All right, it retains, it locks, slide locks back as well. Rock and roll. And now the one everyone's been waiting for. What about an extendo mag? You know, because you're nothing without your extendo mag, so. All right, it locks in. Let's see if the slide retains. It does not. Not surprising. This thing's borderline garbage, but they gave it to me. I don't even know who made it, but hey, it locks in. So if I ever had to rattle off 30 odd rounds or whatever this thing holds, if it feeds through them, I got that. So yeah, like I said, I did want to take a moment and highlight this handgun, the M82, Llama M82, and share it with y'all before I got too far ahead. The last thing I want to do before I take up too much of your time is let me just do a weight comparison, because yes, it does have a steel frame. I am pretty confident that that's going to impact the weight. I'm going to keep it at weighing against the Beretta. So let's be fair here. I'm going to remove the magazine. Okay, so the 92S, let's weigh this baby right here. What? Okay, that shut off. Hold on a second. Let's try that again. Okay. Yep. All right, this is coming in at 2 pounds, 0.1 ounce. 2.01. Now this thing comes in at 2.45, so 2 pounds, 4.5 ounces. So about 4.5 ounces heavier than your 92. All right, and before we go and wrap it up, I do want to show you another really cool feature about this thing, which totally caught me by surprise. So here's your 92S, right? Let's check the trigger. So double action trigger, long, pronounced, but good, clean, crisp break. So again, long, pronounced break. Let's check that reset. So rack it, and let's check that out. Okay, pretty good. Good clean break. Again, try that. Up. There we go. Pretty straightforward, not bad at all. Now let's check this baby out. Okay. Very little travel. Actually noticeably less travel than on the Beretta. So look at all that wiggle, which before didn't look like a lot, right? But now you compare it to this thing, and now look at that, barely moves. So now I can refer to the Beretta as having all that wiggle. All right, let's try this. Super clean, a little bit of take up. Rack it, and let's check that reset. Ooh, look at that, so nice. Again, check that reset. Beautiful. All right, so hope you enjoyed that. If you are lucky enough to find yourself a M82, jump on it. Expect to pay around $1,000 for these, to be honest. Not cheap, and like I said, many people are not familiar with it, but definitely a very cool handgun, and can almost guarantee you're going to be the only one on the range with one of these things. So, you know, enjoy it, go for it, and I guess YOLO. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and post them. I will try to answer them. And in the meantime, thanks so much. Stay safe. See ya. Then, as a matter of, I don't know, again, the universe doing its thing, I actually landed its hot younger sister before I got this one. So this right here, and we'll do a video of that one, is a Llama M-82.